Hey, I'm Paul Salazar with Hilton Hyland Real Estate. Welcome to my channel. If you're a buyer out there and you're wondering what it's like to work with me or my team, then this video is for you. We're going to be interviewing our client Helen, who just recently bought her beautiful estate in Hancock Park. We're going to be discussing how we helped her find this property off market, how we negotiated the deal for her, how we helped her with the rigorous inspection process, and how we used our lender contacts to get her the best interest rate available at that time, and ultimately how we helped her close a deal. If you want more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, like button, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Enjoy the interview. So I'm interviewing Helen Babst, one of my favorite clients. I've known you for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I've worked with their entire family, so it's been an honor to help you guys out. And helping you find all your homes. So let's talk about your experience in finding this beautiful home that we see right behind us here in beautiful Hancock Park. What was it like?
So we knew immediately that we wanted a historic home, but we weren't quite sure which neighborhood. And that's where you really came into play, where we found these beautiful but dilapidated homes.
Yes.
And you really helped us understand if there was resale value or not.
Yeah.
And also the amount of money that it would take to bring up to scratch.
Yeah.
So you always have this vision, but the house is such a big investment that it was really great to have you come in and say it's worth this and this based on the comps.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had run into other real estate agents who were specialists of those neighborhoods, and they kept trying to up the price, whereas you would say, no.
Yeah.
If you spend $200,000 just getting it livable condition, you're never going to get out of it.
Yeah.
So once we decided on Hancock Park, then sort of the rest is history.
Yeah.
But it was peak COVID. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you bought the house, I think, at the right time, and obviously nobody knew what was going to happen.
Right.
You know.
So you were doing virtual with FaceTiming us houses.
Yes.
You were door knocking en masse.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. We were doing a lot. This is obviously when I had Maggie.
Right.
Right. So we were looking for 3 years.
Right.
Because you were looking for something very specific.
Right.
And I've never had a buyer that had the specific kind of criteria you had. And there's not a lot of houses on the market with your criteria, right?
Right.
You're looking for something with architectural significance within a certain area, right? You're also looking to open up an art gallery as well.
Right.
So that was, potentially also part of the mix.
Right.
So you sent me an Excel sheet with I think it's 50 houses.
Right.
Right, which is cool because I've never had a client do that. And so we were calling all those homeowners and seeing if any of them were looking to sell. One of them said that they may want to sell, and we were going back and forth with this homeowner for, I think,
a year.
It was 1 or 2 years, right? But I'm glad that they didn't want to sell because it wasn't the right house for you, But we did circle dialing, we did door knocking, we called your Excel sheet, we looked at expired, canceled, and withdrawn listings. We did email blasts to the agent community. So the way we found this house was through a MLS search of leased properties.
Right.
So houses that are not on the market for sale and not on the market for lease. It was a leased property that was, I think, leased out maybe a year or two ago.
Right.
And I said, oh, this may look like a nice property. I reached out to the agent, and she said, let me talk to the owner and see if they're interested in selling.
Right.
Right. And I think that process was interesting because they weren't living at the house, right?
No,
they were living somewhere else.
They were living in Beverly Hills, and they had rented it out for the last 2 3/4 years.
Yes. Okay, so that's the important factor, because they would have to pay a lot more capital gains if they waited an extra, I think, 6 months.
Right.
And you just reminded me about that, because what I told the agent was hey, listen, if they wait 6 months, they're gonna have to pay a lot more in taxes if they would sell than if they would sell now, right? Because if you own the house, I think 2 of the last 5 years, then you're exempt of a $250,000 or $500,000 if you're married, tax exemption. So that was huge for them.
Right.
That was huge for them. So now they're able to sell, save more money on the sell, and we were able to convince them to buy. When they decided to come on the market, that was a little nerve-wracking because we liked the house.
Right.
I think you had seen the house at that point. And we wanted to make a bid, but they're like, we're not gonna look at bids until we put it on the market. It's all right, it is what it is. Let's just, let them put it on the market. And they came in at a price that was, I wouldn't say it was a bargain deal, but we wanted to come in strong and get the house, right? We didn't want to like mess around.
Right.
I think one of the most important things to know about your purchase was that, you know, we got some great financing for you. Right. You obviously had your own contacts. I have my own contacts, and I said, why don't we use your contacts and my contacts and see which one gives you the best deal, right?
You also had them play against each other.
Yes,
which
I did.
was very smart.
I did. I mean, listen, I always want my client to get the best deal, right? And I have a lot of contacts, so I was like, hey, and I tell them, I say, hey, listen, they're looking at some other banks, and you need to beat them if you want to get the business. And it's a big loan for them.
Right.
So talk about your financing, because it's the best, right?
So you found us 0.5%, and this is COVID mortgages.
Yeah.
And so we got the best deal.
It was insane.
And also because of their relationship with you. And I think that goes for saying when people are looking for a real estate agent, it is not about finding the house. Like, I already know what houses I like, but I need to know if they're worth it.
Yeah.
Then who knows if they're even for sale? You made them go on for sale because you had intricate knowledge of the tax
Benefits,
stuff, which I also have no understanding. Then you found us the best rate with your existing contacts. So that is something that people don't necessarily take into account when they're choosing real estate agents. Because what is on Zillow is just the beginning of this whole journey.
Exactly, and I think that's an important note, and obviously thank you for all the great compliments. A lot of buyers out there want to go direct to a listing agent, you know, and that may work for certain buyers, right? But for most buyers, it's important to have a knowledgeable buyer's agent that knows how to go find off-market properties, that has the contacts with the lenders, and also understands about taxes, because this is what made these owners sell, right?
And also back channel with the other real estate agents, because at this point, it's peak COVID. Rosie is sleeping in her crib in the living room in our place. And we are ready for a house. So we couldn't be the cool, composed face that we needed to be because we're so desperate to get the house. So we would not have been able to portray ourselves as like calm, cool, and collected, which you represented for us.
That's true. That's true, for sure. And you know, you guys got a phenomenal 30-year fixed, the first 10 years interest only, and I think it was like around 2.5% or 2.25%. It's insane. What you're paying for this house is like probably, like right now it would just be triple of what you're paying now. So that's huge.
And not to mention, one thing I forgot is that you have such a systematic approach of looking at things, is that you notice that in Hancock Park, between 6th and Wilshire, the prices per square foot were cheaper, but the lots were bigger. So it's this weird sort of moment where we're like, okay, we're really going to concentrate in this area, because obviously with 2 small children, peak COVID, land to us was the most important thing. And that's something that is not reflected in the price per square foot of a house price.
For sure.
So that is also something that was very clever of you to notice.
And I think that's an important part of being a good buyer's agent, is really understanding the different markets. Obviously, LA is huge. And like you said earlier, there's agents that work in specific markets. But it's like I work in a lot of different markets in LA, right? I mean, from the beach to helping out your family buy in the beach, all the way out to like even like downtown LA, right? So understanding how to value each property is super, super important.
And also value for us. Like most people would view recessed lighting as a real plus, and I was like, well, we're just gonna have to pay to rip it all out, you know. So it's really good to get into the head of the buyer.
Yeah, for sure. Any other comments about the process or anything else that would help out a potential client of mine that hasn't hired me yet, and they're kind of like looking at, is Paul the right agent?
Well, I think the other thing
job?
we didn't talk about yet is how once we put in a really strong offer, then the estimates came back. Is a 100-year-old house of what needed to be fixed. And we're not trying to screw the seller over, but there was significant work: electrical, plumbing, foundation,
structural,
roof, structural, everything.
And
so you also were able to, in the peak COVID, so it's a different time, get bids really, really quickly, because you had those established relationships where they said, okay, we're doing Paul a favor by coming in a week. And then you were able to negotiate nearly, I forget, like 170,000 off. And and of course, we use that for the work.
For sure.
And that's something that you don't necessarily think about when you're buying a house.
Yeah.
And even as we've been along our friends' journeys, even people that have new constructions will find during the course that you do need a really strong negotiator, and also someone, because the estimates that come back are rather alarming, someone that can sort of translate what that means.
100%. Because it's scary. You're like, should I buy this house? Is it falling apart?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And the language that they use is really, really strong.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that if we didn't have you saying, oh yeah, this can be fixed, like this, this you can wait on, this you need to do right away, I think that was just as helpful for finding it as. And then we put an offer on another house, and
we lost out on it.
We lost out on it, but also too, you were looking at just without even the bids, and you're like, this construction is really shoddy.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to put a lot of money to make this house even structurally sound.
Yeah, to undo what they did.
Or no, but even what they hadn't, you kept saying, if you put a marble here, it's gonna be going down really fast to this corner.
Yeah.
So there's a structural issue.
Yeah.
So I think having someone hold her hand for that, it was really important.
Yeah, for sure. The inspection process is something that a lot of buyers don't take maybe as seriously, especially when they go direct to a listing agent, and that listing agent is working more for the seller or making, just kind of trying to get that like deal through. I think we got a physical inspector, a general inspector, one of the best in town.
Right.
We got termite, we got structural, I think we even got foundation. We did roof, fireplace. I mean, we mold.
Yeah.
So we did everything. I think it's really important because I meet a lot of sellers that they bought the house directly with the listing agent, and then when we go sell their house and the buyer goes and inspects the house, there's foundation issues that they never knew of.
Right.
And so now I'm like, well, you didn't have that agent that helped you inspect the property correctly when you bought the house.
Well, to that effect, what the seller's agent told us, oh yes, the house was completely fixed in the 1990s, and there was a flipper that came in.
Yeah.
Well, what they didn't mention is that they drilled through the foundational supports to put an AC, rendering all those pillars useless.
Yes.
So that's another thing, is that you really cannot trust.
Yeah.
The other thing that you also really did is you saw all these permits were open and not closed. So you forced the seller to close the
I forgot about
permits.
that. Yes, we did that. And that was right at the end. And I remember the agent was, luckily we had a really good agent on the other side.
She's amazing,
She's great.
Yeah.
And she really helped, get that whole process through.
Right.
And she was integral in the part. I think it's also important, right? Having a buyer's agent that knows the other agents in town, has good relationships, and is able to communicate to them so that they can communicate correctly to the seller as well.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did, as well as her two beautiful daughters. If you have any questions about working with us on the buyer side, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach me directly at paul@paulsalazargroup.com, or you can call me or text me at 310-387-1976. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.